I'll be speaking to the London zookeeper who cared for penguins Ronnie and Reggie, as the study reveals same-sex couples exist in more than 1,000 species of animals. Next tonight, are some animals gay? It's a question highlighted in a new book from London's Natural History Museum, which says same-sex couples have been identified in more than 1,500 species. Homosexual activity has been reported in penguins, giraffes, anteaters and monkeys, to name just a few. Chris Choi has more.
Meet Ronnie and Reggie. They became known as London Zoo's gay penguins. There was an obvious bond between them, and once they got together, they successfully adopted an abandoned egg. And they weren't the only same-sex couple to take the plunge here.
We've also had Nadia and Zimmer were a same-sex female couple that we've had as well. And they would together lay lots of eggs.
Do you think it's appropriate to use human language like gay to explain this behaviour? After all, we can't ask them what their sexual orientation is.
I think it helps give language that makes sense to people. Gay and lesbian is very much phrases that are used in the scientific community.
And we don't know whether this little penguin next to you, we don't know about the orientation because she hasn't found any kind of mate so far.
No clue. I hope she finds someone, whoever it is. But for now, she'll be my friend.
Same-sex pairings have been observed in a third of penguin species. When it comes to the diversity in nature, this lot are really firing on all cylinders, aren't you? Stop preening, you're on camera.
But these relationships were not always so well documented. In the past, reports were sometimes erased from natural history.
Of course, Scott's expedition to the Antarctic was one of the most famous, and one of the scientists observed homosexual activity amongst penguins. But when this account of the expedition was published in 1915, all references to that had been removed.
Nowadays, the range of pairings in zoos is recorded and even celebrated. On almost every branch of the tree of life, homosexual behaviour has been identified, according to a new book from the Natural History Museum.
Homosexuality has been observed in at least 1,500 species of animals, and this is likely a massive underestimate. From butterflies and lizards and gorillas to monkeys and apes.
Describing animals by using human terms like gay is questioned by many scientists, and even those that use the word concede there can be a range of reasons for this behaviour. How these relationships are described may ruffle some feathers, but when it comes to what we were told about the birds and the bees, maybe we didn't get the whole story. Chris Choi, ITV News.
Well, we now can speak to someone who knows two of the stars of that report very well. A zookeeper who looked after Ronnie and Reggie, the penguins. Shannon Quinn joins me now from London Zoo. Shannon, how surprising is this to you that same-sex relationships are so widespread in nature?
It's actually not surprising at all. I've been a zookeeper now for almost 9 years, and in my time I've seen many same-sex couples in the animal world. And a lot of them have been really successful parents for foster children as well, if you would call it that. So yeah, not surprising for me at all anymore.
That's really interesting, Shannon, that having same-sex relationships doesn't seem to get in the way of the species reproducing and surviving, which is what we think animals are set out to do.
Yeah, exactly. That is the part that a lot of people question, but where we see it being such a benefit to species like our penguins here at London Zoo is sometimes we might have a same-sex couple that can produce a fertile egg, but they might not actually be very good at incubating the egg or raising the chick. And this is when a same-sex couple sometimes actually does a much better job at that part, which gives the chick a much higher chance of survival. So sometimes it can work really well in the animal's favour.
Now, Shannon, Ronnie and Reggie, what happened to them?
So Ronnie and Reggie, they are the famous couple. So they did get together in 2014, and as you've heard, they did raise a successful chick. I will have to tell you now, they have gone their separate ways. So we still have Ronnie here at the zoo. Reggie is part of the European breeding program, so has gone off to another zoo to breed. But I do have happy news as well. Ronnie here has now paired up with a female penguin called Chip, and they have had successful chicks of their own now, which is great news.
Oh, Ronnie and Reggie. Can I ask you, how quickly did Ronnie move on?
I wish I could tell you it took a long time, but if I'm honest, I think it might have been the very next breeding season.
Oh yeah, typical man, right? When it comes to same-sex relationships there at the zoo, what behaviours do you notice?
So actually it's interesting, with our penguins, the males and females actually play the same role in raising chicks and incubating the egg. They each take turns. So for us, if you were to just look at them, you wouldn't be able to tell necessarily that it was a same-sex couple, because they don't have any differences in what the male and female look like. So the only way we know is that we take DNA testing to know that that is a male and that is a female. Obviously, if you watch them for long enough and they weren't producing an egg, you might suspect it, but otherwise all the behaviours are actually the exact same as the same-sex couples.
OK, Shannon, good to hear. There on Penguin Beach, thank you very much.
Thanks, Duncan.